Welcome to Buddhist Motivation. In today's video, we will be exploring 13 signs your aura is having a big impact on those around you. Have you ever felt that your presence alone can shift the energy in a room? That's the power of your aura, an invisible yet incredibly powerful force that influences everything around you. Through the lens of Buddhism, we'll dive into how your inner peace, authenticity, and alignment with your true self can have a profound effect on those around you. Whether it's inspiring or challenging others, your aura speaks volumes before you even say a word. Personally, I truly believe that the energy we emit has a far-reaching effect, not just on our own lives but on the lives of others too. The way we carry ourselves can ignite change, even without trying. This is why understanding the subtle yet powerful impact of your aura is so crucial. It can be a tool for transformation, not just for you, but for everyone you encounter. Before we dive deeper into today's story, I would really appreciate it if you could take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the Buddhist Motivation channel. Your support helps me create more valuable content. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below. Your feedback is my motivation to keep bringing you insightful videos. 1. Your presence is unmistakable. In a peaceful monastery nestled in the mountains, a young monk named Tenzin practiced his meditation every morning at dawn. He had no need for words, no need to show off his wisdom. His energy, the purity of his being, was his true teacher. When people would come to the temple for prayer, they couldn't help but feel a shift when Tenzin entered the room. It wasn't because of his appearance or the clothes he wore, but because of the stillness and authenticity in his heart that radiated outward. People would often whisper among themselves, "There is something about him, something different." It wasn't loud, but it was undeniable. His presence lingered long after he had left the room, and his aura had left a mark, a peaceful reminder of stillness. In Buddhism, when we meditate and cultivate inner peace, we are cultivating a field of energy that can be felt by others. The more we align our mind, body, and actions with truth, the stronger and more radiant our aura becomes. This is the power of the present moment, the true embodiment of mindfulness. 2. People feel expanded or threatened around you. There was once a renowned monk named Siddhartha, who had lived many years in deep meditation, seeking the true nature of existence. One day, during a pilgrimage, he came across a group of travelers. As he approached, some of them felt an immediate sense of calm and serenity, while others grew uneasy, becoming defensive. Their discomfort wasn't because Siddhartha had done anything, it was because his calm, unwavering presence revealed their inner restlessness. Siddhartha's aura was a mirror, reflecting the hidden fears and suppressed desires of those around him. Some of the travelers were challenged by this, feeling uneasy with a reflection of their own inner turmoil. But for others, his peaceful aura provided a space for them to grow, a reminder that there is more to life than the surface-level distractions they had been living with. When we are aligned with our true self and live in harmony with our surroundings, we naturally become mirrors for others. Just by being present, we can either activate their discomfort or inspire them to awaken to their own potential. This reflects the Buddha's teaching of right mindfulness, the ability to see and face the truth of what is within. 3 animals, children, and nature recognize you. On a tranquil morning in the forest, a monk named Banti walked slowly through the trees. The birds seemed to sing a little louder. The breeze seemed gentler. And even a deer approached him, unafraid. Banti smiled as he sat by a quiet stream, feeling a deep connection with all living beings. He knew that his inner peace and purity of heart made him visible to the animals and nature around him. The deer, in particular, seemed to recognize his energy, feeling no fear in his presence. Banti had cultivated such clarity in his meditation that the world around him responded with trust and love. It was as though nature itself could sense the harmony within him, and it responded in kind. In Buddhist teachings, we learn that when our hearts are pure, and we live in alignment with the world, we can connect deeply with all living beings. Animals, children, and nature are more attuned to energy than we often realize. They sense the vibration of our hearts and react accordingly, responding to the authenticity and peace within us. For you intimidate without trying. There was once a humble monk named Lian, known for his deep wisdom and unwavering calm. Despite his peaceful nature, he often found that others, especially those with a lot of pride or pretense, would feel uneasy around him. He never raised his voice or acted in a way that would intimidate others. Yet his mere presence seemed to challenge them. One day, a group of visitors came to the monastery, and as Lian entered the room, the atmosphere shifted. The chatter stopped, and people began to fidget uncomfortably. Lian didn't need to do anything, his aura alone was enough to challenge the illusions that others were holding onto. His authenticity exposed the hidden insecurities in others, and without saying a word, he made them confront the parts of themselves they weren't ready to face. Buddha taught that the greatest power is not in domination, but in peace. When we align ourselves with truth and authenticity, it naturally disrupts the falsehoods and masks that others wear. This can be unsettling to those who are still holding onto their ego and illusions, but it's also an opportunity for them to grow. 5. You shift the energy of a space. One evening, a group of monks gathered in the meditation hall for a special chanting ceremony. Among them was a monk named Tashi, who had been meditating in silence for many years. As he sat, the air in the room seemed to change. People began to quiet down, and a sense of reverence filled the space. Even though no one spoke, the energy had shifted. Tashi's stillness wasn't something that could be seen, but it was something that could be felt. The energy of the room aligned with his peaceful presence, and without a single word, the entire environment became more focused and grounded. In Buddhism, we learn that our energy is always interacting with the energy around us. When we are in alignment with our inner truth, we naturally affect the environment in a way that brings it back into harmony. This shift is not something we force, but something that happens naturally as we live in alignment with our values. 6. Your intuition is heightened. There was once a monk who had trained in deep meditation for many years. His name was Jaya, and he was renowned for his ability to sense the emotions and needs of others without a word being spoken. One day, a traveler came to him, seeking advice. Without the traveler saying a word, Jaya could immediately sense that the traveler was in deep emotional pain, struggling with feelings of loneliness. Jaya smiled gently, sitting in silence for a moment, and then shared words of comfort that resonated deeply with the traveler. The traveler later remarked that it felt as if Jaya had known exactly what they needed to hear without them ever speaking about it. Buddhism teaches that when we cultivate mindfulness and awareness, we begin to develop a heightened intuition. We can sense what is happening around us on an energetic level, picking up on the emotions, thoughts, and needs of others. This ability allows us to be more compassionate and present for those around us. 7. Small talk drains you. There was a monk named Pema who lived at the foot of a mountain in a remote monastery. One day, a group of lay people came to visit, and they began to engage in small talk about trivial matters: the weather, the local market, the politics of the village. Pema, who had spent years in deep meditation, felt drained by these conversations. His aura, tuned to the deeper frequencies of life, could no longer find nourishment in such superficial exchanges. After a while, Pema excused himself and went to sit by the river. Feeling more at peace in silence, he realized that his soul longed for authentic connections, and that shallow conversations no longer brought him the energy he needed. In Buddhism, we are encouraged to practice right speech, which calls for conversations that are meaningful and intentional. Small talk, while necessary in some contexts, can feel draining when we are seeking truth and deeper connection. Our energy thrives when we engage in conversations that nourish our spirit. 8. Others' shadows get projected onto you. One day, an elderly monk named Kelsang, who had spent decades in meditation, was walking through the monastery grounds when he encountered a young monk named Lamo. The young monk, although kind and eager, had a tendency to get irritated easily. That afternoon, Lamo suddenly became frustrated when he noticed Kelsang walking quietly by him without acknowledging him. The young monk's anger flared up, but Kelsang simply continued walking without saying a word. Later, when Lamo came to apologize, Kelsang smiled gently and shared a profound insight. Lamo, when we are bothered by others' actions, it often reflects something within ourselves that we haven't fully accepted. The young monk sat in silence, realizing that his reaction was rooted in his own feelings of inadequacy, not in Kelsang's behavior. In Buddhism, the shadow refers to the unconscious parts of ourselves that we tend to ignore or suppress. These parts often come to light when we are around others whose energy highlights them. Kelsang's calm presence triggered Lamo's unresolved feelings of unworthiness, teaching him that the way we react to others says more about our inner state than about the external situation. Our aura, like a mirror, reflects these unresolved issues in others, often without us even trying. 9. Your silence speaks louder than words. During a silent retreat in the heart of the forest, a young monk named Tashi was known for his unwavering ability to sit in silence for days on end. One afternoon, a group of new meditators arrived at the retreat, eager to begin their practice. As they sat in meditation with Tashi, they found themselves more and more quiet, as if his silence was pulling them into deeper introspection. One of the meditators, curious, asked Tashi after the retreat. "Why do you never speak? Doesn't the world need your wisdom?" Tashi, with a serene smile, replied, "The true wisdom is not in speaking, but in listening. Silence speaks louder than words, because it holds space for truth to arise naturally." In Buddhism, silence is considered a powerful practice. It allows us to connect with our true nature and the world around us in a way words cannot. Silence, when held with awareness, carries a vibration that others can feel. It's a space where the mind quiets and the heart can listen. Those with strong auras understand the profound power of silence. It's not the absence of speech, but the presence of mindfulness. 10. You attract spontaneous confessions. A humble monk named Anil once sat quietly at the edge of the temple grounds when a villager approached him, eyes filled with tears. Without saying much, the villager began to pour out his heart, confessing feelings of guilt for mistakes made in his youth. The monk listened with deep compassion, never interrupting, simply holding space for the man's pain. As the villager shared his story, he felt a sense of relief, almost as though a weight had been lifted from his shoulders. Anil, with his calm presence, didn't offer solutions but instead allowed the villager to express his truth without judgment. It was in that moment of honest sharing that healing began to take place. In Buddhism, the practice of right listening is essential for healing and transformation. Sometimes, people need to express their truths, not to receive advice or answers, but to simply be heard. When you have a strong, authentic aura, others naturally feel safe to open up and share their hidden burdens. Your presence becomes a vessel for healing, allowing others to confront and release what they've been holding inside. 11. Your freedom irritates those still hiding. At a monastery by the river, there lived a monk named Nima who was known for his playful, carefree spirit. He would often wander the grounds barefoot, laughing in the sun, and engaging with nature in a way that was pure and unburdened by the constraints of societal norms. One day, during a conversation with a fellow monk, Nima was told that some people found his carefree attitude irritating. The other monk, who had spent many years practicing Stoic discipline, said, "Your freedom challenges their need for control. People don't like to see someone so free, because it reminds them of the chains they are still holding onto." Nima simply laughed and said, "The freedom I feel is not to escape the world, but to embrace it with an open heart." Buddha taught us that true freedom comes from letting go of attachments and the need for external validation. When we live authentically and without fear, we remind others of their own potential to do the same. This can make others uncomfortable, especially those who are still trapped by their own fears and insecurities. But true freedom is not something to hide, it's something to embody and share with the world. 12. You leave an impact even after you're gone. One evening, as the sun set over the monastery, a monk named Jampa finished his evening prayers and walked slowly to his cell. As he passed by the monks in the courtyard, a deep silence fell over the group. No one spoke, but everyone felt a change in the air. After Jampa had left, the monks continued their evening routines. but the energy in the courtyard remained heavy with peace. Later, one monk remarked, "Even when Jampa leaves, his presence lingers. It's as though his energy has left an imprint on this place." This was not just the feeling of his physical departure, but the quiet power of his inner stillness that remained with them. The concept of emptiness in Buddhism teaches that nothing truly disappears. Everything leaves an imprint. When your aura is strong, it imprints on the world around you. Even after you leave, your energy remains in the places you've been, affecting the atmosphere and the people you've encountered. This impact is a reflection of your inner peace and alignment with truth. 13. Your inner journey shapes the aura you radiate. Many years ago, a monk named Pema came to a secluded mountain retreat to meditate in solitude. He spent years facing the challenges of his mind, slowly shedding the layers of ego, attachment, and fear. Over time, his aura became so refined that even the trees seemed to bow in reverence to him. One day, a fellow monk approached Pema and said, "I have been meditating for years, but your presence seems to inspire something deeper in me." Pema smiled softly and replied, "It is not the years of practice that matter, but the depth of transformation. When we embrace our own suffering and rise from it, our energy becomes a beacon for others who are also seeking the truth." Buddhism teaches us that our inner journey shapes the energy we radiate. As we work through our inner darkness and emerge with wisdom, compassion, and peace, our aura naturally reflects this transformation. It is not something we can force or fake. It is the natural outcome of our path to enlightenment. This is why those who walk the spiritual path often leave behind a legacy of peace and wisdom that impacts others long after they are gone. Thank you so much for watching and exploring these 13 signs of a powerful aura with me. I hope today's video has shed light on the invisible force you carry and how it can positively impact those around you. Remember, as you continue to live authentically and cultivate inner peace, your aura will naturally radiate and inspire others. Don't underestimate the power of your presence. It can truly change the world around you. If you found value in this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to Buddhist Motivation. Your support allows us to continue sharing meaningful content. And before you go, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. What do you think about the power of your own aura? Leave your comments below, and let's continue this conversation together. I'm excited to see you in the next video.